Hey there! The video I'm sharing with you today is a guided session from the Love Yourself course. In it, I go over the 3 major things that stand in your way to achieving total freedom and unlimitedness. Now, the main purpose of this video is to show you just how simple and easy it is to knock out these obstacles so you can have that freedom fast. Now, this is a ninja video, which means that it's going to be set to private in a day or two. So bookmark this page and you'll be able to return to it anytime you wish. Also, make sure that you're subscribed to this page and you click that bell notification so you don't miss out on future ninja videos as they appear on this channel. Alright, so let's just jump into it and knock out those obstacles and have that freedom now. Welcome. On this video, we're going to look at 3 major obstacles that stand in our way to being free, to being happy, to being abundant and totally unlimited. And before we jump in and examine what these 3 obstacles are, something I want to put out here right now is that we must come from the position that we are whole, complete, perfect, and totally free in our beingness. Even if we may not fully realize it in our daily living, even if that isn't our reality, we at least must come from this position, come from this perspective, and it's a choice. You see, if we don't, where does that leave us? It leaves us a victim of the world, a victim of circumstances, and it leaves us struggling with problems. But if we just decide to come from this position with the attitude that I am going to realize that, I'm going to discover the truth of that perspective for myself, then that's going to help us look at these obstacles and see exactly how they stand in our way, how they really are obstacles, and how we can let those go so we can realize our wholeness and completeness and perfection. All right, so let's jump into it. Now, before we begin, let's just take a moment to get quiet. So just set aside any distractions right now. And even put yourself in a quiet space, environment, so you can really just settle in and focus now on you. And right now, just focus on your breath. Just watch your breath. Just breathe normally, but be aware of the sensation of breathing. Just feel what it feels like for your body to move, the feel of the air moving into your body and moving out. And just watch yourself breathe in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And notice when you put your attention on your breath, it grounds you in now. So just become more aware of now. Become aware of the temperature that you feel on the skin of your hands. And feel if there's any movement of air on the back of your neck. Or if the air is still, just notice. And bring your awareness to your shoulders. A lot of times we carry tension in our shoulders without realizing it. And see if there's any tension. Now just consciously relax your shoulders. Allow that tension to melt away. Now bring your awareness to your forehead and see if you have any tension in your forehead. Just allow that to relax. See if you have any tension around your cheeks and eyes. Allow that to relax. See if you have any tightness or tension in your lips. Just allow them to relax. And your jaw. And your neck. And just feel that relaxation deepening. And again, just watch your breath. Now. And now. And now. And become more aware of now. And just be here. Now. 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 Now let's take a look at these three obstacles to our freedom. Now the first obstacle is fear. And fear is us pretending we're a victim of the world. And that there are things that are bigger than us that pose a threat to us. There are conditions that are bigger than us that dictate what may or may not happen to us, good things and bad things. And we're afraid of what those may do to us. And we make ourselves out to be a victim. And fear is a ridiculous habit that we learned since we were very young. And we've been expressing our entire life. That's a habit. And we're doing it. See, inside of us, consciously as well as subconsciously, is a belief that fear protects us. And so we're automatically just following this habit. But look at how ridiculous that is. How does fear protect you? That's like strapping a bag of cement onto your back and jumping into a lake, thinking that that bag of cement is going to keep you afloat. That's what we're doing. We're holding on to fear. And look at what it really does to us. It sinks us. Like in real life situations, it gets us paralyzed. It gets us to take actions that are not positive, that are self-destructive even. It keeps us playing small, being limited, all just from a silly idea that that fear protects us. So on this video, we're going to work on knocking out this fear. Now the second thing that stops us from realizing our true beingness is resistance. Now resistance is pushing against the world because we feel like it's pushing against us and we're pushing back. Now, coming from that position of being free, unlimited, totally complete, Look at how ridiculous it is to resist anything in the world. That's taking a total lack of responsibility. Saying that those things are separate from us, those things are our enemy. Therefore, I have to fight against them. I have to push them away. Got to separate myself from those things. And that's totally opposite from the position that I'm one with everything. So we got to own up to our resistance, see what's going on, and then drop that resistance. We're going to work on that. And finally, the third thing that's stopping us is wanting. Now, wanting is looking for happiness and completeness outside of ourselves. It's looking for it in this person, or this thing, or this experience, or this job. Thinking that when I have these things all set up the way I like them, then I'll be happy. But look at what we're really telling ourselves, is that in the absence of those things, I'm miserable, I'm incomplete, I'm unhappy, and I need those things to complete me. And that's totally backwards. So we're going to look at our wanting, let that go. So we can discover we have everything inside of us right now already. All right? Now, all of these three things, they're just habits of ours. We have a habit of using fear as a means to protect us, which we've established doesn't work. That's silly. We have a habit of resisting things. It just happens automatically, right? We're on automatic. And we have a habit of wanting. So, seeing that it's just a habit is something that we can break. We can get power over and completely dissolve. Now, the other thing to make this whole thing super, super easy is seeing that each of these three things, they're just feelings. Fear is a feeling. Resistance is a feeling. It's like a pushy feeling, a very harsh feeling. And wanting, that's a feeling. It's a feeling of lack. I'm lacking something, and now I need to go look for something to fill up that void. But it's a feeling. Now, seeing that these are all feelings, that takes some mystery out of the whole thing. And we're going to now work on dissolving these feelings. And just seeing that by dissolving them, just seeing what shows up in their absence, what shows up once we let those go. All right? So let's start with fear. What's something that you're afraid of? What's something that you wouldn't like to have happen to you? And just think about it. And notice that feeling of fear. Get in touch with that feeling that, oh man, I don't want that. All right? And just feel that feeling of fear. Now let's measure this fear. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the most fearful, 0 being the least fearful. Where are you with that fear? Now wherever you're at, maybe you're at a 2, maybe it's just a little bit of fear. Maybe you're at an 8, Maybe you're at a 15 or 37 with that fear. Maybe it's something huge. It's okay. Look, if you could put a number to it, it kind of now makes you bigger than it because you have defined it. And see, it has a boundary, a definition, but you have defined it. You have no boundary. Therefore, you're bigger than this thing now. This is something that's helpful about just measuring it, putting a number to it. Puts things into perspective. Now, wherever you're at with that fear, whether it's a 2 or a 37, wherever it is, just notice when that fear comes up, how you don't like that fear. When it comes up, you're like, oh, no, go away. I don't want you here, right? So basically, what you're doing is saying no to the fear. Now, when you say no to the fear, does that make the fear go away? Of course not. It just keeps it there, and it grows and grows and grows. So since saying no doesn't work, let's do something different. Are you willing to do something different? All right? Now, instead of saying no to that fear, now look right at it. Whatever that number is, just look right at that fear. It's a feeling. Just look at it, whatever that looks like to you, that fear. Now, can you say yes to it? Just say yes to that fear. And could you say yes to that fear a little bit more? Just say yes. That's all. Look at it and say yes to it. And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to that fear even more? And could you say yes to it even more? And even more. And even more. And could you say yes to it even more? And even more. And see where you are now. Measure yourself again on a scale of 0 to 10. See if you moved. Now, wherever you are now, maybe you're at an 8 and you move to a 6. Notice, that's a positive shift. That's movement. And notice that measure of feeling lighter now. That's showing you that you're moving in the right direction. And it's showing you that you can let go of the fear. You don't have to fight with it anymore, struggle with it. Just by saying yes to it, you can let it go. Sometimes we forget how simple this all is. Realization is the simplest thing ever. Now, wherever you are with that fear, now look at that fear and say, I love you, fear. I love you. I really, really love you. I love you. I love you unconditionally. I'm okay if you're there. I'm okay if you leave. I'm totally okay either way. I love you. All the same. And measure yourself again. See where you are now. Now, whatever fear may be left right now. So you just notice how far you've moved, just in a few moments here. And see, now we've got some momentum going. Now let go pushing down on the rest of this fear. Allow it to arise. Just welcome it up. See, we've been in such a habit of pushing down our feelings because we don't like them. But when we push down on them, we collect them. That's why, as we've gone through our life, we've gotten heavier and heavier and heavier, accumulating these feelings. And we're doing it because we're pushing them down, which means we're holding on to them. Now, just let go pushing down. Allow them to arise. Allow all this fear to come up now. Allow it to arise even more. And now just kind of get out of the way. Just let it pass through. You can open up an imaginary window or door. Imagine this fear going right on out the door. Just surrender it over into the space of now. Just surrender to beingness. And welcome it up even more. And 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 just open up as wide as you can. Allow it all to arise. Allow it all to spill out. Just get out of the way. It's like if you're standing in the hallway and some big dude is running down the hallway, someone who's like built like a football linebacker. You're not going to stand in the middle of the hallway trying to stop him. No, you're going to get flattened. You just kind of stand to the side, let him just go right on past. Same thing with the fear. Just kind of take a virtual step back and just watch it pass through. And notice it wants to leave. In fact, check this out. You could even talk to these feelings. You could talk to the fear. Ask that fear if it wants to leave. Go ahead and ask it. And what does it say? Heck yeah. All of these feelings, they want to leave. Can't you see that? They're always pushing up, right? All that fear and frustration and stuff. You know, when they get really pushy, they're pushing up because they want to leave. But we're so smart, we don't like them, we're pushing them down, we're not letting them leave. Now, how smart is that? All right, so just allow this fear to leave. Allow it to leave even more. And 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 notice what you're experiencing now. Notice how you're getting quieter, lighter, freer, more at ease, more peaceful, even happier now. And what you're experiencing now is proof about taking that position, that we are truly unlimited beings. This is an experience of your unlimitedness this lighter feeling. This is the real you that's showing up. And you don't need to put anything in there. You don't need any information or insights in order to know who you are. You just got to remove these blocks, and who you are becomes self-evident. You know it. You see it. All right, so think about something else that you're afraid of, or you wouldn't want to have happen to you. Maybe it's a situation that's going on right now in your life. It's troubling you. You're worried about. Now, something I love that Eckhart Tolle said. It's a question. Have you ever worried yourself out of a problem? No. And it shows the ridiculousness of that habit of fear and worry. It's looking away from who you really are, preventing you from being your unlimitedness. And that fear is just a feeling. Now, you may have like a troubling situation. That's a story right now that your mind is telling you. You see, you're just looking in your mind. It's telling you all about it. Set that story aside and notice the feeling of fear. We're just focusing on the feeling. Now in this moment. Just a feeling. Now look right at that feeling. Measure that feeling on a scale of 0 to 10. 10 being the most fearful, 0 being the least fearful. Never mind the story. We'll look at that after we let go of the fear. Now wherever that feeling is at, 1 through 10, just look right at it and say yes to it. And say yes to it even more. 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 And even more. And even more. And even more. Just say yes to it. And more. And even more. And measure yourself again. See where you are right now. And wherever you are with the fear. Sometimes you may see it go up because now you're letting more of it come up. And now it's like coming up more because again it wants to leave. So now that you're like, okay, I'm going to start letting this fear go, down inside it's rejoicing. Yay, now he's letting me go. So you might feel more coming up. That's okay. Just remember, keep saying yes to it. And wherever you are now, just look at that fear and say, I love you, fear. Just look right at it and say, I love you. I really, really love you. I love you unconditionally. I love you with all of my heart. Whether you leave or whether you stay forever. Whether you're always here, I love you. I just love you. And notice where you are now and what you're experiencing now. Now, if there's any remaining fear, just let go pushing down the rest of it. So you got that energy flowing. Let the rest of it come up now and just let it flow on out. Allow it to arise. Allow it to leave. Allow it to leave even more. And even more. And even more. And even more. And notice what you're experiencing now. Notice how lighter it feels. And right now, that's all we're looking for. We're just looking for that lighter feeling. Again, it's showing us that we're moving in the right direction. And that lighter feeling is the real you that's showing up. That's who you are. That lightness, that love, has no body, has no story, just is. And it is wonderful. Now, you can take a look at that story that you set aside, that problem, and see if it's as much of a problem now. See if it's more possible to resolve the thing and to get positive. You notice that difference? And that shows you how the mind works. See, the mind only deals in pictures. Like if I say, don't fall down, what do you get a picture of? Falling down. The mind only works in pictures. Like if I say, don't think of an elephant. Seriously, don't. Don't you dare think of an elephant. Can't help it. Your mind just goes right to that picture. And when you're in fear, what are you picturing? The problem. Not a solution, the problem. But when you let that fear go, now there's a sense of a solution that's here. And it's not coming from the mind. It's just coming from your intuition, your knowingness. Yeah, I'm cool. Got no problem. All right, now let's take a look at resistance. I'm going to do the exact same thing with resistance. Resistance is just another feeling. It's a feeling of aversion. I don't like that. I don't want that. We don't like what's going on. You know, maybe we're not experiencing the success. We want to be perfect. And we're messing things up and we don't like it. So we're resisting what's going on. We're beating ourselves up. Or we have a problem, a situation that's going on. We don't want it. Like, get that away from me. We're trying to push it away. But imagine if I was like walking towards you and you have your hands out and you got your hands against my chest, my shoulders, pushing me back, trying to keep me away from you, resisting me, right? Now, what are you really doing? You're actually holding on to me. So whatever you resist persists. You're actually holding on to it. And notice that feeling of resistance. It's no fun. No fun walking around with that negativity. But notice, we don't like the resistance. So resistance comes up, we fight with it, and what happens? We get even more resistance. We just take that spiral down. So think about something that's going on in your life that you're resisting. Could be something at work or your business. Could be something in a relationship. Could be something that's going on in your body you're resisting, how you're feeling. Could be resisting your weight. So many things to resist, right? Just take a look at one thing that you're resisting. Now measure yourself on that scale of 0 to 10. See, that resistance is a feeling now. Notice that? And where are you with that resistance? Now notice, you've been saying no to that resistance, right? And by saying no to resistance, is that making the resistance go away? No, just gets it worse. So instead of saying no to it now, just look at it and say yes to it. And say yes to that resistance even more. And say yes to that resistance even more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to it even more. And just say yes to it. That's all. Y-E-S. Can you say yes to it even more? And even more. And measure yourself again. See where you are now. And notice if you feel lighter. Again, that's showing you you're moving in the right direction. And that's the real you now that you're starting to experience more and more and more. And isn't that nice, that lighter feeling? How would you like to walk around with that all the time? And even better than that, there's no limit to how nice that light feeling can be. There's no limit to how high you can go. And look at how far you've moved just in a few moments here. And you did it. This is what I mean by taking responsibility. When you're resisting, you're not taking any responsibility. You're making the world out to be an enemy. Something that's separate from me. I got to fight with it. That's not being responsible. But when you say yes to it, that is taking responsibility. And look at the results you're getting. How easy is that? Now, let go pushing down the rest of that resistance. Just allow it to arise. Welcome some more up. Just let it come up. It's just a feeling. It's not good. It's not bad. It's just a feeling. Allow it to arise. Allow it to come up. Just watch it. Don't fight with it. Don't make a story out of it. Don't place any value on it. It's just a feeling, a sensation now. Just open up and allow it to evaporate and dissolve out into quiet, out into beingness. And allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more. And 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 just let it leave. Notice you don't have to do a thing. Just stand back out of the way. Because it wants to leave. And it knows how to leave. You don't need to push it out. It can find its way out just fine all on its own. All you had to do is just get out of its way. Open up the door. And give it permission to leave. In fact, just look at that resistance now and say, I love you. I really, really love you. And I give you permission to leave. And notice how you feel now. Now think about that problem or that situation and see if it's much of a big deal as it was a few moments ago. Or do you now feel a bit bigger than it? A bit bigger than the whole thing? That's a realization of who you are. Now let's take a look at one more thing that you're resisting. What are you really resisting? Maybe you're resisting some feelings that you have inside. And by resisting them, what are you accomplishing? Holding on to those feelings that you don't like so much, right? Because as long as you're resisting them, they're not going anywhere. Now, measure that resistance on a scale of 0 to 10. And wherever you're at with that, just look right at that resistance and say yes to that resistance. Say yes to it even more. And say yes to it even more. And say yes to it even more. And even more. And say yes to it even more. And 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 notice what you're experiencing now. Where are you on that scale of 0 to 10? Did you move? And how easy is that? All you had to do is just say yes. Doesn't get simpler. Now look at that remaining resistance and say, I love you. I honestly love you. I really love you. I love you unconditionally, without condition, without preference. I just love you with all of my heart. And see where you are now. Now, if there's any resistance remaining, just call it up. Now, again, you could talk to these feelings, ask that resistance if it wants to leave. And what does it say? So allow it to arise. Welcome it up. Just give it permission to pass through. Allow it to evaporate and dissolve. And even more. And even more. And even more. And even more. And notice what you're experiencing now. Isn't that nicer? And this is showing you can let all of these feelings go. And by letting them go, notice what shows up. It's nice, isn't it? And this is you. Now let's take a look at the third thing. wanting. Now, want is a state of lack, a feeling of lack. Yet we've been conditioned to think of it as something completely other than that. We've been trained to want. I mean, just advertising in media. Just look at how much they stir up your wanting. You know, to buy this product or do this thing, because that's what's going to make you happy. A Coca-Cola is going to make you happy. Going to make you feel on top of the world. And we already see what's going on with that and how silly that is. But we've been so conditioned to wanting, that stuff works. It gets us to just follow whatever it is that they're selling. But even in self-help and goal setting, all these realms of, like elevating our consciousness, there's so much wanting that's taught in that too. It's ridiculous. Like that book, Think and Grow Rich. And so many of these motivational things that they tell you, if you're not getting your goals, it's because you don't want it enough. Great. See, let's really examine what wanting is. Wanting is suffering. It's lacking. It's feeling needy, deprived, and looking to that goal to fill us up so we can feel happy. It's like the sirens in Greek mythology that lure the sailors over to the rocks. And that's what our ego mind is doing with all this wanting, saying, hey, come over here, this is where your happiness is. And we crash against the rocks. And see, why do we crash? Because in that decision, that the happiness lies out there, what we're deciding is, until that happens, I'm going to be negative. I'm going to feel miserable until that thing enables me to feel happy. Now, how are we going to achieve positive? By being negative in the present, being negative in the meantime. You see how ridiculous that is? So what's the solution? Now, if want is a state of lack, and if the mind deals in pictures, and you're wanting something, what are you picturing in your mind? Not having it. And the mind is a creative instrument, so you create lack. Gee, isn't that smart? So the solution here is, one, to drop the want. That's it. It's just a decision. Let go of the want. And when you let go of the want, you end suffering. And this isn't anything that's new. Buddha said this thousands of years ago. Life is suffering. And the cause of suffering is desire. Therefore, if you end desire, you end suffering. So let's go ahead and do it now. Think about something that you want. That you really, really want. You know what you want. And notice that feeling, that lacking feeling. Not having it. That neediness. And that idea in your mind that when you have that thing, things are going to be so much better. You'll be happier. You'll feel more in control, more in charge. You'll feel safer, more at ease. All that stuff. It's all the same thing. Happiness is what you're looking for. Now, how long have you been wanting it? A few months? A few years? A few decades? Take a look at that. You've been wanting it probably for a long, long time, right? Now, if wanting would have gotten that for you, you would have had it already. Of course, that's the way your mind talks to you. It says that in order to have things, you got to want them. I mean, it makes sense to the mind, right? But look at the results you're getting. Obviously, that's not true. And look at the suffering that you've created for yourself all this time, looking for it, wondering where it is, and then beating yourself up because you're not getting it. And all this time, you're doing that. Now, the solution here is just a decision. Now, would you rather want or would you rather have? Because they're polar opposites. You can't want and have at the same time. Just like you can't stand up and sit down at the same time. You're either doing one or the other. So now it's a choice, a decision. Yes or no? Could you let go of wanting so you could have that thing that you're wanting right now? Can you let go of wanting it just a little bit? And could you let go of wanting it a little bit more? And could you let go of wanting it a little bit more? Now, if your mind's giving you trouble about it, well, how will I ever get it if I let go of wanting it? I'm just going to give up. Well, you're not getting it anyway. So you got nothing to lose. And look, if this doesn't work out for you, you can always go back to wanting it. You know how to do that. You've been practicing that your whole life, so you got that down pat. So if this doesn't work, I promise, you can just go right back to doing it the way you've been doing it. It's okay, but try it out. Can you let go of wanting it? And could you let go of wanting it a little bit more? And could you let go of wanting it a little bit more? And could you let go of wanting it even more? And does it feel better to want it, or does it feel better to have it? Now, there's no suffering in having, and there's nothing wrong with having. The problem is in wanting. Could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And more. And even more. And just right now in this moment, just focus on this moment. Don't worry about 5 minutes from now or tomorrow. Just in this moment, can you just let go of all your wanting for it? Just to see what happens. Just drop that want. Now. And notice what you're experiencing now. Notice if it feels lighter. Again, this is what we're really looking for, just a lighter feeling, showing you that you're moving in the right direction here. And notice right now if it's more possible to have it than it was a few moments ago. So what you're experiencing now, two things. One, exactly what Buddha said. You see, when you let go of the wanting, the suffering ends by proof of the lighter feeling that you're experiencing. And your consciousness is changing. Remember, you can't want and have at the same time. Now, this is like a light switch. It's either on or off. And when you let go of wanting, you automatically have. And that's where that sense is if it's more possible. Now, you may not have details or information in your mind, may not make sense to your mind, but it's just like a knowingness. Yeah, I have it. It's that inner confidence that's showing up. That's coming from the real you, not from up here. Now, whatever you're experiencing now, can you let that go and see if it can get even better? Can you let go of what you're experiencing now and see if it can get even better? And notice what you're experiencing now. See if it's getting even deeper, quieter, more into having. And this is a sense of your real self. Feeling whole, complete, perfect, right now, just in your beingness. And what you're starting to do is taking all of your happiness from inside of you, not from out there. You can never ever get it out there. Everything that you're looking for is inside of you already, right now. Now think about something else that you want. And notice how wanting is really futile. It just keeps you spinning around, going in circles. Now make a decision. Would you rather want or would you rather have? Could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And could you let go of wanting so you could have? And which feels better? Does it feel better to want or does it feel better to have? Could you let go of wanting even more so you could have? And even more. And just let that wanting go even more. You're doing it. Just let go of doing that. And more. And even more. And even more. And notice what you're experiencing now. See if it feels more like you have that, whatever that is. And notice you're feeling more present, more quiet, at peace. This is who you are. And there's no name to it, no body, but it just is. Let's take a closer look at this now. Now, if what you are is no body, no name, no ego, no mind, look at the mind that you're experiencing right now. Just get a picture of your mind, whatever that looks like to you right now. Now, can you just imagine that picture that you're looking at in your mind? Could you imagine that now evaporating and dissolving? Just picture it dissolving away. And allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more. And allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more. And even more. And even more. Just let the whole thing disappear. Now get a picture of your body, whatever that looks like to you. And could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And more. And even more. And even more. and allow it to evaporate and dissolve even more. And even more. And get a picture of your ego, whatever that means to you. Could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And even more. And even more. And even more. Now get in touch with that part of you that says, if I don't do it, it won't get done. I have to do everything. Could you allow that whole idea to just evaporate and dissolve? And more. And even more. And even more. Now ask yourself, if I'm not my mind, if I'm not my body, if I'm not my ego, what am I? Now there's no right or wrong answer. Just take what you get. Whatever comes up, just surrender to it now. Let that answer take you wherever it's going. Just let go. Are you? Notice your answer. Are you? Are you? Are you? And what you're experiencing here is becoming conscious of consciousness, aware of awareness, being, your beingness. And that's it. Be only that. You're in the most incredible, abundant place you could ever be in. And you could just take this experience and allow it to expand. Allow it to unfold until it's complete. Just notice what you're experiencing now. Now, could it get even better? Could you let go and find out? And could it get even better? Could you let go and find out? And more. And even more. Are you? Are you? All right? So just keep allowing this to unfold. Allow this spaciousness here to expand. And I'll see you all of a sudden.